Good evening, gentlemen. It's Monday night. It's Monday night. It's the 29th of August. We're almost two-thirds of the way through this year. Christmas is going to be along soon. Lots of us will be heading off to Thailand, places like that, pretty soon. Okay, so just say hello to everyone. Chaz Brown, good evening. El Terrifico, Barry from EastEnders, Murray Hazzy. Yeah, okay, yeah, nice to hear from you. Paul Hoskin. What's it? Paul Hoskin. What's the topic today? A hazelnut and everybody. Oh, I remember that jingle. Well, Gemini Star, Capo 17, Ed Sweeney's 20 Stone Wife back in England. I've lost £2 this week. Oh, okay, all right. Only another £198 to go. Okay. Patriots 1. Nice to hear from you. Capo 17, Wayne M, Carl 3374. Nice to hear from you, mate. Niall M, Shane Humphreys, El Slivko, the LSD intro was on. Yeah, it is a bit psychedelic, that is. I like that tune. Some people like it, some people hate it. Duffalo, okay, nice to hear from you. Shane O'Traveller, Danish Bacon, Pinball, Lux, Ian UK, Bottle Baby, Poppycorn, nice to hear from you, mate. Sean Young, Gemini Star, El Terrifico. Even gentlemen, there isn't a single gentleman here. Okay, it's a matter of opinion. The Fat Gent, Bernard Purcell, Steph Travesty, Tree Town. Let's see. Tree Town, hi, you go pretty well with my Captain Morgan. I'll tell you what, in case you wonder about the continuing, never-ending soap opera saga of the bottle of Lamb's Navy rum, no, I still haven't got the top off anyway. But anyway, that's the way it is. David Merchant, Wayne Kerr. Let's see, who's that? Wayne Kerr. Hi, it feels a bit chilly outside. Should I be brave and dare to put the heating on? It's going to be a problem for a lot of people. They're all saying it, aren't they? As you're coming towards this winter time, the energy bills, gas, electric, the whole works. It's just a lot of people are going to struggle. The sooner I'm on that aeroplane out of here, the better. Boo-hoo, nice to hear from you. Alan Hunter. Danish Bacon, Eddie, are you good at doing accents? No, not really. I can do a Liverpool accent. That's about it, basically. Okay. Capo 17, she lost £2 yet on the horses. Ross, evening, Eddie. What's the topic tonight? Great intro as always. Well, it's Monday night, and we kind of got used to doing the big question. Now, these are questions that I feel strongly about. They may be topical or maybe not topical, but if they're not topical now, then they will be making a comeback one of these days, guaranteed. And these are my questions. Sooner or later, I will invite some of you fellas to, come up with your own questions and we'll talk about them. At the end of the day, it's Monday night. Tomorrow's Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. What else is going on? I mean, it's quiet. What else is going on a Monday or Tuesday night? 10 p.m. UK time. May as well all come together and talk about things. Why the hell not? Shane Humphreys, nice all. Got to be up at 5 8. Oh, well, good for you, mate. Anyway, good for you. Sleep well. David Heisenberg, Lord of Dreams. Never heard of that one before. Nice to hear from you. Sounds like a really the kind of Netflix movie that I'd like to watch. Jim Jets, Duffalo. Yeah, we're going to talk about that sometime. Duffalo. I've heard the Wongers need a new destination, Gambian sausage off the menu. We've got to talk about that sometime, haven't we? We really, really have. I've seen it. I checked it out. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings about that. Patriots 1, is Thailand still the value that it used to be? Well, no, it isn't. Nowhere's the value that it used to be, especially when you've got a currency like the pound, which seems to be getting weaker. I'm hearing all kinds of all kinds of things about how the pound is going. Our pound's just going. It's only going one way right now. I mean, with regards to the Thai baht, you know, it went stronger and stronger, didn't it? And it got down to about 37 baht to a pound a few years ago, and then it went back up to about 42, 43. But there's some people who predict with the pound losing value, it's going to be back down to below 4. It's not good. And as for Thailand, it's not the good value it used to be. It's still a great value destination, but not as good as it was. Paul Hoskin, they delayed the rocket to the moon. As long as they don't delay my flight, only delayed by a few days. I mean, yeah, I was quite excited to see that, but you know, we'll talk about that later anyway, or something like that. Let me see. It looks there. Eddie, call one of your girlfriends for retire for the live chat. That might be an idea. You never know. Mark Hollick, good evening. Eddie, thanks for the quid assist. Okay, Mark was just, you know, Mark's American and wanted to know, you know, it was a quid, you know, the same as a pound, the way a buck is at the dollar. It's slang word, you know. I mean, how many people use that? You know, £100, or did he say 100 quid? I'm tempted to say 100 quid, you know, and you know, it's just in most circumstances, basically, you know. So you know, quid is a pound. Shane Old Traveller, 2 weeks till I'm in Pattaya. Good for you, mate. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. Ichigo. Hello, Eddie. Good to see you again. Always enjoy your live streams. Okay, thanks for that, mate. Thanks for that. Mark Ollig. I learned quid comes from a Latin term, quid pro quo. Well, I never knew that. It's in the origins of you know, the everyday stuff that we use. I mean, the one I know is there's all kinds of origins. I mean, codswallop. We use the phrase a load of codswallop. What is codswallop exactly? Claptrap. I know what claptrap is. Claptrap goes back to the you know, I think the early years, the 30s, you know, some hundreds of years ago, when you know, people went to the theatre, and if they weren't enjoying the play, you know, what they would do is they'd, you know, show their discontentment by a slow hand clap. You know, I don't like this play, it's boring. Slow hand clap. And this is what actors were afraid of, really. Actors were afraid of being caught in the clap trap. That's what it was called, the clap trap. So that's where that comes from. Glenn Hendricks, nice to hear from you. What is it? David Eisenberg. So at least the instructor. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure she'll find. I say, you know, places new. Bobby Webber. I had about 2 p.m. here in Northern California. Beautiful. Not as hot as being 1 more week here. Then Saigon for a month. Wow, you get around, Bobby. Good for you, mate. Good for you, mate. Good for you. Boo hoo. Okay. Danish bacon. Okay, Gemini Star. Enjoy yourself, fella. Yeah, talking about Shane O there after Pattaya. Alan Hunter. Eddie, most of the bar girls are still at home in Isan, i.e. Udon. Why not visit there? I've never gotten round to that. You know, you never know. Well, I mean, I visited places in Thailand last time that I'd never been before. Places like Koh Samui, and you know, so this time, one of these days. But I like Bangkok and Pattaya, and don't forget, I'm looking forward to going to Cambodia this year as well. So yeah, you know, wherever I go, it's going to be fun. Ugh. Let's see. Okay. Capo, Wonga's Turkish sukyuk or whatever. Spicy sausage. Yeah, they like a bit of that. They like a bit of sukyuk. Bobby Webber, then to Italy, October the 31st. Changing my game. Some people have a wonderful life, don't they? Bobby Webber's in California. He's going to Saigon, then Italy. Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Really pleased for you. Live the dream, mate. That's what it's all about. Paisy to Swan, if you go to European destination, the plane ticket will be a lot cheaper than flying to Bangkok. And in the overall cost of 2 weeks, I think it's starting to be the same. Well, I mean, Europe isn't expensive. If you really want to enjoy Europe, live it to the max. Places like Paris and Rome and all those places, they're going to be expensive in terms of food, drink, hotels. They will be a lot more expensive than Thailand, even a lot more expensive than Bangkok. But obviously, you can get cheaper flights, so that's one thing, I suppose. Alpha Interactions aiming to get to Pattaya in November for World Cup. Yeah, I'll enjoy watching the World Cup. I'm not a big football fan, but it is it's pretty good fun going into a bar, with when they got the live football on, and it'll be fun, it'll be entertaining. Get into the swing of it all the time in the world. Why the hell not? We'll travel around Southeast Asia, January, February. What's your plan, Eddie? Well, my plan basically is to start off in Thailand. I think I will be taking advantage of the new 45-day visa on arrival or visa exemption, or whatever you want to call it. But after that, maybe Cambodia for a couple of months and then back into Thailand. So not really made any definite plans yet. Yogi Bear, nice to hear from you. Ichigo, Lisa's been missing lately. I think she found an alternative destination to Gambia. And I think she's probably out there just making the most of it while she can. Stephen Gamble's Tintin 46. Gaz, Eddie, do you want me to come over and get that security tag off of you? No. I mean, you're pretty good at nicking from Asda. I wouldn't let you in my home. Mark Hollock, it seems many words have a Greek or Latin origin. Yeah, they do. I mean, I'm struggling to learn English, so Greek or Latin is a little bit beyond me. Anyway, okay, let's see. Clive, hey Ed, just shave the head, trim the beard, about to tuck into chicken tikka masala and chicken tikka masala and chips. That sounds absolutely lovely. Chicken tikka, that was a song by ABBA, wasn't it? Chicken tikka, you and I know, or whatever. Bernard Purcell, another name for bollocks. Apparently, that's an old Is that an old Anglo-Saxon word meaning the small bowl? I remember the Sex Pistols had that controversy when they finally released their album in 1977. Never mind the bollocks. Apparently, like they weren't going to put it on display in some of the department stores, but they realized it was actually an old Anglo-Saxon word, meaning a small bowl. Let's see. Bobby Webber, what's a shilling in relation to a pound? A shilling is an old currency. What was a shilling? Was that 12? That's before decimalisation, isn't it? A shilling. A shilling was it 12 pence, and a sixpence? Sixpence was half a shilling, something like that. Jesus, you're going back a bit there. Ian UK, damn squib is a classic again. Yeah, absolutely. A damn squib. Basically, what that was, it was an incendiary device, basically like a firework, a banger, which got damp and then failed to go off. And basically, when something is referred to as a damp squib, it's basically something that you think is going to be fiery and exciting and explosive, and then it turns out to be not. And that's why it became known as a damp squib. Okay. Pattaya early this year, if you recall one of my videos, it was a bit of a damp squib, but I think it's going to be better now. I think it will be. Issa, man. Alan H. There used to be 20 shillings to a pound. Decimalisation came into 1971, didn't it? Issa, man, Codswallop comes from the invention by a man called Cod. It was invented the bottle with the glass ball stopper for fizzy drinks. And to release the ball, you wallop the bottom of the bottle. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's read that again. That's really interesting. Thanks for that information. I'll have to remember that one, Issa, man. Thanks for that info. Shay no traveller, airfares were twice the price for me. Oh, well, at least you go, mate. Paces one. If you go to Thailand with the ladies, it's not that cheap either, unless you take one lady and pay her peanuts. Where women eat up your money wherever you go. Yeah, it's not as cheap as it was, definitely. Monk comes from the Latin too, does it really? First I've heard of it. Mark Oleg, Botox. That's that thing that they have injected and it makes you look 15 years younger, something like that. You never know, might give it a try sometime. Tom Streeter, Christmas Day live stream with you dressed as Father Christmas and some Thai women as your oh, can't wait. We'll see. I would imagine Christmas I'll probably be in Cambodia. We'll see about that. It's a long way away, yeah, long way away. Gaz77, I'm going to get my hair cut tomorrow. I'll be walking out without paying. How often can you do that? I mean, it's not as if you can go. I mean, you're going to be able to go back to that particular barber's, is it really? How long can you do that? Ichigo, how long are you going to Thailand this time? I'll be away for 4 months overall, including everything. Let me see. Lady Pence, I don't know that one. Don't know. I'm not so sure about that one. A pence about 5 pence. I think a shilling is. I think a shilling is. Let's see. Simon Dibb. What am I saying is Gordon Bennett? I know you were. Where did that come from? When you're alarmed at something, you say Gordon Bennett. Who is this poor old Gordon Bennett, and why is his name being used as such? Paul Hoskin, have you ever dressed up as Father Christmas, Ed? No, but I have been known to dress up as a gorilla. That was fun. Bit warm, actually. AG, how's your shoulder, Ed? Well, I'm at the stage now of getting aches and pains, and both shoulders still feel very, they're not aching in an unpleasant way, but it's better than it was. But on the plus side, I am doing my speed walk every day. Nice to walk along the lane and back, and it's nice and it's easy and it's feel good about it. And I'm drinking lower calorie beer, so it's a start. Barry from EastEnders, I'm flying to San Francisco in 4 weeks. Can't wait. I wouldn't mind. I'd love to see San Francisco, although it will be expensive. Well, good for you, mate. Anyway, good for you. Good for you. Let's see. Bobby Webber, thanks for your explanation. Love to have a brewski with you one day, preferably a Budweiser, so you could taste it. I'm not a fan of Budweiser, but I'm not a fan of Budweiser, to be honest with you. Paige just won Heart of Darkness nightclub in Phnom Penh was fun. I used to dance there with Cambodian lady. Well, it was I don't like to get into all of this. I've said enough about that. But the last time I seen Heart of Darkness, it was men with men sort of thing. It was like one of those places. So not really for me. Nick Ross, he's more articulate than I am. Okay. Yeah, Paul Hoskin, Bob's your uncle. Where did that come from? No, I don't know where that is. Okay, here we go. David Merchant, why was Larry so happy? Yeah, exactly. It's all coming out now. Mark Hollett, Gordon Bennett emigrated from Scotland, was the publisher of the New York Herald. Well, I didn't know that. I mean, Gordon Bennett, that's a revelation on me. Okay. Bobby Webber, San Francisco is the second nicest, beside Boston. Sean Griffiths, nice to hear from him. Okay, well, let's tell you what I'm going to do now. It's Monday night. I'm going to do the big question because this is what else is going on. We may as well talk about things, issues which are quite important. But what I'd like to do sometime is maybe put out a post and maybe some people can suggest some big questions, something that we really want to talk about. Because like I keep saying, I know I keep repeating myself, but come on, Monday night, Tuesday night, late at night in the evening, what the hell's going on? Okay, so anyway, it's time for the big question. Okay, now there's two big questions tonight. I know that I just put up like 4 there, but it's actually 2. Actually, 2 big questions tonight, and I'm gonna phrase this one. Okay, now this first question, I like to get the doom and gloom question out the way with, and then we go on to the more light-hearted question later. Okay, so the doom and gloom. This is a bit of a depressing subject. It's a serious, doom and gloom. Not a very nice subject, but it's one that I feel quite strongly about. So I'm going to do it anyway. Okay. And how can I phrase this? Well, okay, so it's probably right, I'm just going to get the rest of that can then. Okay. I'll tell you something. Coors Light. If you drink this regularly, as opposed to your usual beer of Corona beer, whatever, the calories does really make a difference. Significantly lower calories. I don't know. Is that like that's at least that's half or less than a can of Kronenberg? Very nice. Okay. Where are we now? Okay, I just keep us in suspenders here. Okay, so first of all, right now, this is a subject I feel solely about. We're not afraid to shy away from controversial subjects here. Now, anyone know who this guy is here? Anyone know who that is? He looks like a really demure old man. This picture was taken, I think, a few years later than a really quite a notorious incident took place. It took place at a farm somewhere. I think it was around Norfolk or whatever. This man was at home in his farmhouse. He was at home, not bothering anybody one night, and he'd had a lot of robberies. He collected antiques, but he was at home minding his own business in his own home, and he was disturbed. Okay, he was disturbed by a couple of burglars, and basically, let me see. Okay, anyone know who this is? Anyone know who this is? Yeah, you've got it. You've got it. Who's got it? Ricardo's got it. Yeah, his name was Tony Martin. Okay, his name was Tony Martin, and the question I'd like to ask, it's not the most subtle question. Should burglars be given the death penalty? Right. Now, I know that might seem a bit, but I'm not suggesting that the government start angry, but I'm not suggesting that. The fact is, the crime of burglary is one of the most despicable crimes that anyone can commit. It's a truly dreadful crime, the crime of burglary. And if you research it, every year people are killed in their own home by burglars, disturbing burglars. Burglary is an evil crime. It's a heinous crime. And what it is, this guy here, Tony Martin, has had enough because he was burgled. He'd been burgled and robbed a number of times, and he's had a shotgun ready. A couple of burglars, one of them was 16. The other was 29 years old. So the 29-year-old should have been responsible for 16-year-olds. He was an adult. They were travelers, and they were burglars, and they were bad people. And this guy had enough of them, right? So he was disturbed by them one night, and he disturbed them, and he shot them. He blasted the pair of them. He killed the 16-year-old boy, and he wounded the 29-year-old man. And basically what happened is that he went to prison. He went for defending his own home. Tony Martin went to prison. He was actually convicted of murder, and I believe he was given a life sentence because it was claimed that the burglars were running away at the time. They were running away from the property, but as far as I'm saying, he had every right to defend his property. He himself would have been at risk from the burglars because burglars have been known to kill people in their own homes. Okay, so this is what became up, right? Tony Martin, I would shoot a burglar again. So it's a very, very controversial thing. Tony Martin actually served 3 years in prison. He was eventually released when the crime was reduced to manslaughter. But I don't think he's ever shown any remorse. Now, this boy, he was shot dead. He was 16 years old, but he was a thief. He had a string of offences, car offences, burglaries, and it's easy to say Tony Martin, should have been, responsible. The 29-year-old man who instigated the burglary with this 6-year-old boy, he's the one who should have been responsible. He got away with it. But anyway, this is it. What did the chat say? What did the chat say? Is it right to shoot a burglar dead in your home? Let me see. Okay. Nick Ross killed the burglars. He killed one of them. Let's see. Ricardo, he shot Fred Barris dead. Now, it's easy to, Fred Barris is the name of the 16-year-old boy. It's easy, it's easy to say that's terrible because, 16-year-old's a 16-year-old child. But the 29-year-old burglar who was with him, he's the one who's really responsible because he shouldn't have been burgling anyway, and he shouldn't have been burgling with a 16-year-old boy. So I think he's the one who should be really responsible for it. Who's that? McLaren. Okay. Bernard Matthews. Okay. Let's see. Gemini Star. That's right. He killed the burglars and he was sentenced to prison. He killed one of the burglars. He blasted him with the shotgun. And obviously it's had every. But that man, Tony Martin, on that night that terrible event happened, it was around about 1999. His aim was not to harm anyone. His aim was to have a peaceful night in his own home. That was his intention. I mean, and these two vermin came into his home, and to steal his property, his belongings, and also they could have posed a very, very serious threat to him. He's got every right to defend himself. I know he's a bit heavy-handed, but there's only one of him, and there's two of them. Adventures around the world. Okay. Yes. Jeff Patton. Nice to hear from. Nice to hear from you. Mark Hollick. Martin was 77. He might be 77 now. I think he was 54 at the time. This took place in 1999. I'll just read a little. Paul Hoskin. If someone burgles me, they're in for a surprise. Absolutely good for you, mate. Dickie B, capital. Okay. Let me see. Adventures around the world. Lose your hand for steal. You've got to protect yourself. And no, if you research this, it's a difficult thing to research, because I've tried to do it. But if you research how many people in Britain are murdered in their own home for disturbing burglars, it's not an easy thing to research, but I know of cases. I know of a case many, many years ago. I lived in a sort of a studenty area in Liverpool, and there's a lot of students there, girls, boys, teenagers, whatever. And I know of a case where a young girl, a student, was living alone in a bedsitter, and a burglar entered burglar house, and she disturbed him. And this burglar put an iron bar over her head. He smashed her over the head with an iron bar. A teenage girl, a student. And now he didn't care whether he murdered or manslaughter or whatever. He put a bloody, does this make news, headline news? No. But a guy who shoots a burglar's dead, that creates a massive scandal. Dickie B says no. Okay. McLaren, Clive says, burgling a home is violating somebody's personal space. A home is a man or a woman's castle. Yeah, well said, mate. I agree. I agree. Dutch Farang, there should be more rights for defending yourself. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're just going to get this phone and let's see what happens. Because this was a very, very controversial, extremely controversial story at the time. Okay. No, it's not that one. Yeah, Tony Martin, yes, he's never shown any remorse for but at the end of the day, he was still defending himself. You think what you want of him. Tony Martin, I visited the grave of the boy I killed and I felt no remorse. Tony Martin is still defiant and raging at burglars who targeted his home 20 years after he was jailed for shooting 16-year-old intruder in a case that gripped Britain. Tony Martin shot and killed Fred Barris, 16, who broke into his Norfolk home. They keep mentioning. I know the 16-year-old boy, because 16 is a very, very, very young age. But the person responsible for the 16-year-old boy was the 29-year-old man who took him on this burglar street. It's the 29-year-old man. He's the bloody one who's responsible, as far as I'm concerned. Farmer Mr. Martin served 3 years of his 5-year sentence for manslaughter. Yeah, revealed he visited Barris's grave in Newark not out of respect but out of curiosity. Yeah, and Martin slammed police who don't care about break-ins and said lives in shitty country. Mr. Martin has never returned to the Bleak House. Mr. Martin has never returned to home Bleak House as it was tainted over the incident. That's it. You see, the poor guy can't even go back to his own home. He can't go back to his own home because these people were part of a traveling community, and obviously he fears for his own safety. That's dreadful. He's a man. Bob's your uncle comes from Prime Minister called him Robert. Something who gave his nephew a minister job in his cabinet, despite him having no qualifications to do the job. This is all fascinating stuff. I'm learning stuff here. Let's see. Gemini Star. Tony Martin was a recluse. He can be a recluse. He doesn't have to be even a nice person. The fact is, his intention was to have a peaceful evening at home. His intention was not to harm other people. He took the law into his own arms, into his own arms. Sean Griffiths is a hero. Well, I wouldn't exactly say that, but he's got a right to defend himself. Niall M, we had the same kind of case here, but no conviction for the guy, rightfully so. Dickie Bay, not the corrupt police force we have. We can't trust them. Yeah, absolutely. Mark Ollick, he shot them in the back. Now, there's something interesting about that. Maybe they were running away, but I still think that they were a threat to him. He did shoot them in the back. This is the argument that while they were running away. Have we got the right one? Yeah, he said one of the things that Martin was supposed to say. Apparently he had a conversation when he was in prison, Tony Martin, and he had a conversation with the burglar, with the burglar. And if this conversation is word for word, it's quite an interesting one. Tony Martin confronted a burglar in prison and said, "Why do you burgle people's homes?" And the burglar replied, "That's the way it is." And the burglar turned around and Tony Martin said, "Bang." And the burglar turned around and said, "What's that?" He said, Tony Martin said, "Because that's the way it is." Okay, so that makes sense of that one. Nick Ross, did the guns now, the 5-round projectors that will knock down but not kill? Okay. I still say that if you feel threatened, even if someone's in your home running away, facing away, you're still under threat. You're still under threat. I mean, and you've got a right to defend your home no matter what. Yogi Bear, that's the guy that shot a burglar and was up in court for murder. His name was Tony Martin. After this, the law was changed, and if you disturb burglars and think you're at risk, you can defend yourself. Absolutely. McLaren F1, people that rob are parasites, absolutely. Marlena Jones, totally agree with you, Eddie, absolutely. Niall M, total scum, serves them right, okay? There you go, Leeds. My auntie was robbed in her home and died from the shock. Yes, burglars should receive a much tougher sentence, okay? Mark Hollow, if they're inside your home, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. McLaren F1, the bagel looks like a chat scarkhead. David Heisman, you should be able to protect yourself in your own property, but not the death sentence. Well, when I say the death penalty, I don't mean the courts. I mean those burglars. I mean, one of those burglars was given the bloody death penalty for burgling a home. But if you have to shoot them, as it says, minimum force needed. Okay. So let's see. Now let me let me just tell you something about why I feel so strongly about burglary. I think it's an evil crime, and we should be bloody given much tougher sentences. I mean, when I was a child, our home, you know, a family home was burgled. I got up one morning, and there was police downstairs. The family home was burgled. They got in. We had gas meters and electricity meters, and they were after that. But they entered these burglars had entered the family home through a window, in the area in the middle of the night, while my father, mother, and family were upstairs sleeping. Upstairs sleeping. The burglars came in downstairs, and anyway, I don't know if they ever got the burglars, but my father, of course, being the man of the house, was extremely angry about this. The idea that these people got into our house and burgled and stole things while he was asleep upstairs with his family. I seem to recall, because I was actually very, very young age at the time, but about a year later, the police, if they ever get these people, which you probably don't, they don't tell you who they are. They don't tell you who they are. But a year later, my father was still going on with the rest of the family. Thought, that happened, terrible. Put it behind you, move on. I recall my father wouldn't put it behind him and move on. A year later, I do recall he was still asking people in pubs and in other places around town if anyone knew anything. If anyone had a bit of a hint, he was still asking people, does anyone know who it could have been who burgled my house? He still wanted to know who it was, this person or these people who burgled this house. Even a year later, he just wouldn't let it go. Okay? That's what burglary does to people. It makes you so angry. It's so, he wanted to get hold of these people. The idea that he's asleep upstairs with his family while these scumbags are downstairs robbing us. That's what burglary is. A terrible crime. It's a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful crime. Gemini, Star, anyone invading your property should be dead on the spot, okay? Okay, Sean Griffiths, as soon as a burglar steps onto your land, they should have no rights and deserve what they get. Yeah. Heiko Vel, the kid was a victim of poverty and crime, but still deserved the outcome. Paul Scott, difficult one. If it wasn't in self-defense, then there's 30 a motive, I guess. Okay, so let's just say that this is only one of the stories. But while I'm still banging on about this, that was Tony Martin. Yeah, okay, that was Tony Martin, notorious case. Okay, but a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, there was another notorious case where the guy wasn't put in prison. Now, do you remember this guy here? This guy here. 79 years old. His home was burgled and he was 79 years old. Okay. Okay. So basically, this is what it was. He was 79 years old, and he was burgled. And basically, what he'd done, a 79-year-old man, he stabbed the burglar to death. Now, the way it happened. Okay, the way it happened, this guy's name, 79 years old, this man, 79 years old, and a man who was at home in his own home, having a peaceful night. And then what happened? He's actually had to leave his home now and put his house up for sale, because obviously it's not safe for him to stay there. But this guy is called Richard Osborne Brooks, okay? 79 years old, knifed career criminal Henry Vincent, 32, when he caught him burgling his home. Vincent, that's the burglar, was stabbed after he threatened Mr. Osborne Brooks with a screwdriver in his home in South London. So the burglar, there was actually two of them. They forced their way into this home, but this really, really brave old man, 79 years of age, stood his ground. He stood his ground. Mr. Osborne Brooks was arrested by police on suspicion of murder, but later released following a public outcry. Okay, so there you go. Jesus Christ, he's a brave old man at 79 years of age, and a very, very physical one. So this is the story. I'll just show you the picture of the burglar first of all, the scumbag. This is the let's see. That's the scumbag who burgled his house, but there was two of them. That's the one who ended up murdered. He threatened the old man with a screwdriver, but the old man stood his ground and threatened him right back. And this is the way it goes. Yeah, Vincent, that's this guy. Vincent was high on cocaine and heroin, wearing a balaclava with a screwdriver when he broke into the property in the early hours. Mr. Osborne Brooks gave evidence at the inquest by video link. He said two men knocked on his door, grabbed him. They grabbed a 79-year-old man. They didn't know what they were in for. They grabbed him and pushed him inside, with one shoving him towards the kitchen and the other running upstairs as they both demanded money. He told the hearing. Vincent then came down the stairs brandishing a screwdriver. That's this bastard there. Came downstairs brandishing a screwdriver and said, "Get out of my way and I'll stick you with this." He said that to a 79-year-old man. Mr. Osborne Brooks replied, "I think you're wrong because mine's bigger than yours, and if you don't leave my house, you'll be sorry. Get out of my house, you bastard, or it will be the worst for you." So, anyway, so basically, Vincent's family are coming to traveller community, more travel, repeatedly left floral tributes to the dead burglar. Okay, so basically, the old man under threat could no longer return to his house. But 79 years of age, these two nasty people broke into a house. They got more than they bargained with. I'm not sure. I can't remember what happened to the other one, but this guy ended up dead. And a lot of people, quite rightly so, regard this old guy as a hero. Look, he's drinking Guinness there. I think he's at a rugby match there. He's drinking a pint of Guinness. Good for. At the end of the day, he could easily have been murdered. His life was under threat. He took it into his own hands, and well, Bob's your uncle, I suppose you could say. There you go, Mark Holland. Now he's 77. Yeah, that's what's his name? Tony Martin, 77 now. Bottle baby, 29 years old, should be given the manslaughter. Absolutely. Adventures around the world. If you break the law, then you unfortunately get what you deserve, whatever it is. Well, you put it to depot. I know I didn't phrase that very well. When I say the death penalty, I'm talking about the bloody homeowners shooting dead the burglar. Nick Ross, he should have done what I used to do. Fill some 12 guys get with harbor. That would stop it without kill, okay? Scaffolder John, the leader of the UK National, Mr. Martin did he become a bit of a man of celebrity, and he was invited to meetings after he got a prison. He did. Some people regard him as a bit of a hero. Mark Hollick, you have the right to defend yourself. Damn right. Like as Clive said, you know, your home is your castle. Heiko, Ozzy Osbourne moved from the USA to the UK because there are less murders there. Okay. The fat gent, I've been burgled, robbed at gunpoint several times, held at gunpoint, started up. Well, I'm glad you still Still alive. Patrick, you wouldn't get in trouble for Texas for that. See, this is what I've heard. I mean, I've heard. I mean, I don't know the facts of it, but I don't know the facts of it. But yeah, I don't know. Somehow I get the feeling in other places, Tony Martin wouldn't have been put in prison. Fortunately, this other old man, Richard Osborne Brooks, fortunately, they understood. But it's a pity. It's a pity that this old guy had to leave his home simply because he didn't feel safe there anymore. Paul Hoskin. Paul Hoskin, if you break a window and I see a hand, I'm going to whack it with my baseball bat. Okay. I don't really support the the Saudi Arabian way of chopping people's hands off. You know what I mean? For theft. I don't really support that because you get the wrong ones. What are you going to do? I mean, isn't it a story? Two young Arab guys walking to a market. One Arab guy bumps into an old friend of his in the market, and and he says hello to him, and his friend Abdul has got stitches all around his wrists. So really, really crude looking stitches around his wrists. And the other guy says to him, "Oh, Abdul, I see you won your appeal." Oh my God almighty. What are you going to do? Sew them back on again if you get the wrong bloody person? Let's see. Dragons of the West, did he have a guns license? That's controversial, controversial, that is. Dickie B, unfortunately these days we can't give the death penalty because of the risk of a wrong conviction. A longer sentence would be good. I'm actually, I know I phrased that badly. We're not actually talking about the gods. I'm actually, talking about the guy who shot him dead. He gave him the death penalty. Let me see. There you go. Travis DeVol. Yes, a burglar in your house is a threat to your safety or life. Okay. Absolutely. So let's see. Ivan, I got burgled 2 months ago in my sleep in London. The police done nothing. Now I sleep with a Rambo knife, a shovel next to my front door, a pepper spray, and a couple of hammers on standby. Okay, good for you, mate. McLaren F1 makes no difference the personality of Tony Martin, introvert, extrovert. Who cares? Absolutely. Let's see, Eastman, you should be able to disable them so they can't hurt you and your family without intent to go. And if they die because of your action, then so be it. Mark, look, asking the bank robber, why do you rob banks? And the bank robber says, because that's where the money is. So people still rob banks in this day and age. It's an old cybercrime and all that kind of stuff. I mean, nowadays, I tend to associate bank robbers with the Sweeney, that series of Sweeney. Okay, China, hand it over. The old Sweeney, bank robber days. Mark Holland, if inside your home, I'd shoot him in the back, foot, arm, leg, etc. Absolutely. Not everyone's that good, though, are they? I mean, sometimes you just got to. I can understand Tony Martin just out of the fact that he was vulnerable in his own home. He's just blasted anything really. Let's see, Paul Losker, it's the trauma you feel that someone violates your home. Let's see, Nick Ross, give burglars 10-year sentences in the army, preferably put in nasty places. I don't support this idea that people who do terrible crimes, you should put them in the army. Because most of the people who go in the army, those soldiers, they are very decent people. They're probably very, very. I wouldn't like the idea that decent people who go in the army are forced to fight alongside bloody criminals. I wouldn't like the idea of that. Gemini Star, I had my car bailed a couple of years ago, and had I caught the bastard, I would have committed blue murder. Wildcat 66, if I caught a burglar in my house, you would not believe what I would do to him. I probably would believe it, mate. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna. It's a bit. It's a bit, a bit doom and gloom. Now we've waffled on a fair bit about this. Popcorn. Not sure if the burglars were armed, but do you think gun crimes should have longer sentences with respect to recent tragic events? Oh, of course, yeah, of course they should. They should, they should, of course, they should have longer sentences. Absolutely. Thailand bound. Nice to hear from you, Peter. The police don't bother with burglaries anymore. They won't even investigate them these days. They're more interested in escorting illegal immigrants across the channel in rubber dings. I don't know. It seems to me like that if you get robbed, the police will do bugger all. Oh, we haven't got the manpower. Can't deal with that. You'll be walking home late one night and, you have a pay up. You desperately need to pay up against the wall. Probably about half a dozen coppers are going to come out of bloody nowhere and arrest you for indecent exposure. Jesus Christ. This is it. David Martin. I remember George Harrison being burgled and him and Olivia defended him. Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, George Harrison, rich people, really rich people who live in big houses. I mean, George Harrison, he got stabbed, didn't he, by a burglar? I believe he stabbed, he confronted a burglar in his own home. It's truly dreadful, really, absolutely awful. I mean, if you can't be bloody safe in your own home, where can you be? Who's this? Heiko Veld. I don't get this topic. I got so much camera surveillance around my property that I don't get why footballers get robbed and hijacked. There was what's his name, Ashley Cole. He's a footballer. He played for Chelsea or one of those teams. Anyway, I was reading about him when he got he was at home with his family, and these burglars climbed up a ladder and got into his home, and they robbed him, and I think they tied him up. Or bloody, absolutely, totally dreadful. Absolutely, the penalties aren't long enough for these bloody people. Martin Ryder. Just a quick hello. Can't stick around watching films and drinking wine. You're drinking a lot of wine. You're drinking a lot of wine these days, Martin. Good for you, mate. Good for you. Okay, this. Okay, I'm going to finish this subject anyway now because we've. There you go. That's it. Be more on. Burglars shouldn't get the death penalty by the government, but if the homeowner shoots him and he dies, that's the risk the burglar took. And the homeowner's like, well said, Ron. B. Ron's got a channel. He lives in Baltimore and he's a great young man. So you'll check out B. Ron's channel. He said, man, Oscar Pistorius, the South African athlete with no legs who ran on blades, shot his girlfriend in the toilet, claiming that was dreadful. It went on for that trial. It went on for so bloody long, didn't it? But it's really, really, really dreadful. That's dreadful. Mark Oleg in the US, a burglar successfully sued the homeowner because he injured himself while robbing their house. Unbelievable, isn't it? Outrageous, absolutely bloody outrageous. Gemini Star, Mark, that's outrageous. Yeah, exactly. That's terrible, absolutely terrible. Okay, so I'm going to finish this topic now because it's got a bit doom and gloom anyway. Get a bit. Who's this? Issa, man, if you kill him, don't call the police, just bury them. All right, there's an idea for you. Okay. Yogi Bear, they should be sentenced to time in jail in a period of 10 years and more with a tag on. So you know where they are. Okay, fine. Thank you. So I'm going to finish with that subject. That big question, because it's a little bit depressing, of course, isn't it? But it's something I feel very, very strong about. Who's this? Poppycock. Fiona Bruce will wet her knickers if you ask this on Question Time. I don't watch Question Time anymore. I don't watch this. Paul Hoskin, what about the shoplifters? Ask Gaz77. He's an expert on that. He just dresses up as a woman, so they don't know what's him. I'm not going to put what tinted for expert on there. I'm really not. Oh, lovely jubbly. Okay, we're going to do another question soon. But in the meantime, it's squeaky door time. Okay, I'm back. Okay, let's see. What have we got now? Mark Holler, good for you. I have 2 guns, once for each of you. Absolutely good for you, mate. That sounds like a Clint Eastwood line, there, doesn't it? I got 2 guns, once for each. I love that. I love that moment in the outlaw Josie Wales when these rogue soldiers recognise who he is, and they're sort of eyeing him up, and a bunch of them are waiting to pull, and the thing is, shall we? And cool Clint finally says to them, "Are you going to pull those pistols or whistle Dixie?" Wonderful stuff. Wonderful. Anyone? Nick Ross. No one watches Question Time anymore. I don't watch the BBC anymore. With the selected audience, the BBC should scrap the license today. That would help with the cost of living. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. I'm with you there. Okay. I used to love Question Time. I absolutely love it, but I don't know who's on it now. I liked it when Dimbleby was on it. Mark Holland, Tombstone movie, Doc Holliday. Really? I've never actually seen that one. I've never actually seen that. Got to catch up with that one of these days. Okay, so we're going to talk about another subject. We talk about doom and gloom, something a little teensy, weensy bit lighter. Like this is lighter. Like this is Felix lighter. Okay, nice cause. Very, very nice this. It does, it takes a bit of getting used to. But, if you're drinking half a dozen of these a day, as opposed to half a dozen Kronenbergs, there's a hell of a lot of difference in calories. It's nice. It's nice. Okay. So what have we got now? Okay, so what have we got now? Right. Now there was an aborted attempt at going to the moon today, and it was all very, very exciting. Hopefully it's going to happen before the week's out. But with regards to man on the moon, yes. Regards to man on the moon, it's 53 years since man first set foot on the moon, but it's 50 years since man last set foot on the moon. I think there was 6 moon landings, wasn't there, where people actually walked on the moon. And yet, all of these years later, there's still a conspiracy theory, isn't there? There is still a conspiracy theory. And there is still, conspiracy theories. Some people are convinced that it never really happened, and they believe that they have evidence for why it never really. In fact, there's some people. I was excited when I first seen the moon lands as a kid, absolutely wonderful. But then years later, all these conspiracy theories came out and that it didn't really happen, and it was all in a TV studio and whatever. So the question is, Moon landings, real or fake? Okay. Not telling you what I believe, but real or fake? Let's see. Mark Olling, if you ask if we went to the moon, okay. Clive says 20 years since Eddie landed his 20-stone wife, okay. I wish I could bloody leave it there. Yeah, what is it? Moon landings, real or fake? Okay. Yeah, Leeds says real. Get a job, Barry says real. Lee Clark says fake. See, there's still some people who believe that this never really happened, okay? And we'll talk about it in a minute. Mark Ollie, yes, real. We actually went to the moon. Too many people watched the 1978 movie Capricorn. Yeah. I'm with you on that. That was a bloody good movie. That Elliot Gould, Karen Black, a great movie. I think that's when I first heard of the idea. Hal Holbrook was in that movie. Great movie, great movie. But you're dead right there, mate. Because I'd never considered before then that it could possibly be a fake. Ed's Ventures Around the World. The moon is an alien surveillance device. Okay. Pinball says it was fake. Niall M. real. Stephen West says fake. There's a lot of people around who say that it's fake. It never ever really happened. Now, why do people? I am Tilt says fake. Clive says real. Martin Basil, I think there must be a secret space program. The world governments must know about this. Yeah, okay. Who's this? William 904. Satellite photography has filmed the craft left on the moon, along with the tracks, the buggies they drove. Okay. Scaffolded John, Gemini Star say fake. David Merchant, Paul Scar says real. Absolutely. Who's this? Capo 17. Buzz Aldrin gave a journalist a right to live on TV when he asked if he was really on the moon. No, I've met some really intelligent people, or they claim to be intelligent people, that say, "Oh, it was a fake. It never ever really happened. It never ever really happened." I think it's fairly obvious that it did happen. But let's get a photograph here. Why? I mean, but Mark has mentioned Capricorn 1. Yeah, that's about the first time I heard it suggested that it could have been a fake. That wonderful movie, Capricorn 1. But why did they say anyone suggested it was fake? Maybe one of the reasons that people suggested it was fake is because it was just too good. It was too far-fetched to be true. We couldn't really do that. Oh, come on. 1969, when man first landed on the moon. In 1969, that was the year when Concorde first appeared. Concorde, the most amazing technology. Christ Almighty! If compared to something like Concorde, which is incredible technology, landing a tin can on the moon actually seems quite primitive. I mean, actually seems quite primitive in a way. Let me just get this picture up here. I mean, that really did look amazingly primitive. I think it was called a lamb. Now, why do people suggest? What's the base of their conspiracy theory? Well, what they say is that the light of the camera work doesn't really add up. I mean, when you say in the background there, you can't see any stars in the sky. Well, it's because of the exposure of the camera, and also people say that not this photograph, it's the one where I think Buzz Aldrin is stepping off the craft onto the moon. People say that where's all the light coming from on a space suit? I mean, because it's dark up there. How come it's all in light? I think what it is, I mean, the ground, the moon dust reflects the light from the sun, and it's all very controversial. But there is a real solid explanation for all of this. And there you go. Someone else said that the flag, there's no atmosphere on the moon, so why was the flag fluttering in the wind? Was it really fluttering? I think they used a wire, to keep it upright. And I think Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin actually touched it, at that moment, and this is where the photograph was taken, or whether the film was taken. But there is a fairly, fairly reasonable explanation for everything. Many lizards. It seems quite primitive, so it doesn't seem plausible happening. Yeah. Well, I think the most primitive thing about it, really, the most primitive thing. I mean, the idea of this tin can. Now, I was watching sort of about this. I mean, apparently it's, it was made of aluminium, and there was a lot of tape to hold. And you only have to look at that bloody thing. That is so primitive to land on the moon. But I think the whole, compared to some of the other amazing technology, don't forget, like I said, I know I've said this before, but Concorde, that amazing technology came about at this. There was so much amazing technology that it doesn't really seem that special that they could get these craft to the moon, which is not not a billion miles away. It's 250,000 miles away. I'm not saying it's not that far. That's still a long way, but And another thing. Let me just say. Again. 1970, NASA improved broadcast. And another thing about these conspiracy theories. Whenever you see documentaries or reports about these conspiracy theories, it never really happened. The flag fluttering and all this kind of stuff, and the light on the spacesuits and all of this. These conspiracy theories, they always focus on the first mission. 1969, there were actually 6 missions to the moon. So why do these conspiracy always focus on the first one? Are they trying to say that the first one never really happened, but perhaps the other 5 did? I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, really. Yogi Bear, I think it was the Russians who put the wrong info out there because they're still trying to get there. Wasn't it a space race? Yeah, that probably had a lot to do with it. Nick Ross, that's nothing today. They are firing artillery 500 kilometers with an accuracy of 10 feet. Well, thank you. Iron Tilt, they digitally mock the photos using modern technology to produce 3D image. It's a studio, Ed. Okay, so Iron Tilt believes this was done in the studio. I think it really happened. Well, like you said a moment ago, there was 6 moon landings, not 1. And all the conspiracy seems to just focus on a few trivial little things in the first one. So let's see. Pinball says, I believe they tried to get there, but not that they actually landed on the moon. Well, how about the it was the second to last one, was it Apollo 16? How about the one when, they're driving this buggy on the moon? Are you trying to say that didn't happen? It looks fairly realistic to me. Who's this? Heiko Val, Yuri Gagarin died at age 34 for obvious reasons. American astronaut to say, oh my God almighty, that's dreadful. Simon is real. There are probes that have circulated the moon and photographed the moon buggy, landing craft and everything left behind. Those are things face should grow up, accept science. Yeah, well, okay. I wouldn't put it that strongly. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I remember when this took place, and like you say, I mean, you don't see that many documentaries or reports or theories about the other 5 moon landings. It's always about the first one. Let's see, Capo 17, they did land on the moon. They found Ken Dodd's hidden tax money. Good vibes, okay. Oh, well, what was the old joke about Ken Dodd? Why do 50 pences have 7 sides? So the taxman can prize them out of Ken Dodd's fist with a spanner. Oh, my God. Scaffolded John, they use Viagra. Well, that's a good idea, that, mate. Bernard Pearce, I want to see the Green Men. Mark Holly, I have my ears covered and singing la 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 la. Okay. Who's this? Lee Clark. They get lots of money. I'm not supposed to. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Who's that? Spitz Energy, the chairman of the Flat Earth Society, said in an interview that they have members around the globe. Like it, mate, like it. Bottle Baby, the flag was wired open. Yeah, it did have wires in it, to keep it upright. Let's see. Paul Laskin, the police did walking on the moon. Oh, so that's where the police are. So that's where when I get robbed, I can't get a policeman because they're all on the bloody moon. I see. Scaffolded John, control the media, you control the people. Okay, let's get that bloody awful picture up there. That's a nice picture, isn't it? That's a nice picture. So I mean, a lot of the conspiracies, why is that so bright when the moon is dark? But it's the reflection, it's a reflection for the actual soil and the moon dust. It reflects it. Everything's got a real explanation. Pele, remember when President Nixon had this direct telephone conversation with the man on the moon? One thing's for sure, they had good telephones in 1969. Somebody did mention this somewhere. It's now 53 years later, and I can't even get my Wi-Fi to work properly, and yet they could telephone the bloody moon. I can't get a decent phone signal in the southwest of England, and yet then they telephone the moon. Who's that? Bottle Baby. Looks like they hung out there washing. Popcorn. It must be the greatest achievement in the history of the world at that time. I'm going to grab another beer. I'm going to grab another beer. Okay, popcorn. It must be the greatest achievement in the history of the world at that time. Look, this is interesting. This is interesting because it's kind of interesting that you say that. Amazing achievement. Whatever became of it? I mean, there were 6 moon landings between, and it was a phenomenal. I mean, an amazing achievement between 1969 and 1972. But whatever came out, why has it taken 50 years for people to attempt to go back to the moon? That man attempt to walk on the moon. Why is it taking so long? No, I think really the obvious answer is because there's 2 answers, isn't there? One of them is the enormous expense of doing all this, and the second thing is it really worth it? I mean, what did we really achieve? What did man achieve by going to the moon? I mean, what did we really gain anything from all this? I mean, maybe scientific study in the rocks and find out a few things. But come on, those of us who were brought up in the my generation, we grew up watching science fiction movies, and when man landed on the moon, we thought it's only a matter of time before we're all having holidays in Mars, and like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and all intergalactic spaceships, and it just never happened, because the one thing that I don't think people accounted for was the incredible expense of all that. There probably is all the technology to send men to Mars and do all the things that science fiction said we could do. But it's just the astronomical expense of it all that they didn't count. I just don't think the world can really afford it. And with regards to the moon, I mean, was it really worth it? What special came out of that? I mean, this bloody dark, moon, which. I mean, what was good? What was good? Do you really want to go to the moon? I mean, what the hell was good about it? There's all kinds of theories that have come along years later about the moon landing, and I do recall some scientists, whether he was an astronaut or a scientist, not sure, but he was very, very skeptical about the moon lands. They happened, they happened. They really, really happened. But he was very, very skeptical about what we actually gained from it. And his theory was, why did men get sent to the moon and walk on the moon? He equated it to being like a dog peeing up a lamppost. He said like it was a kind of a territorial thing. We went to the moon because we could go to the moon, and we wanted to go there to prove we could go to the moon. But then a dog pees up against a lamppost in order to mark its territory. He pees up a lamppost and then he walks away. And this guy, this scientist, said to him, that's basically what we did with the moon, isn't it? It was a territorial thing, mark our territory. We went there, we peed on it, and then we walked away. When you think it's been 50 years now and no one's bothered going to the moon since, it can't have been that good, can it? Okay, just my opinion. Mark Ollick, they needed it to be lightweight, and the moon has no atmosphere for the LEM to contend with structurally. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yours travels. Nice to hear from you, mate. Nice to hear from you. He's still on that big boat. I'd tell you what, I'd rather go on that big cruise ship rather than some tin can space airship. But Clive, Apollo 15 astronauts had custom red, white, and blue Corvettes to celebrate their dedication and accomplishment. Chevy have given Corvettes to astronauts many times. Well, I'm sure they deserve it. Mark Ollick, I need a drink or 12. This cause is bloody good. It's nice stuff. Nice stuff. Nick Ross, the moon race was a military operation. Simple as that. Ask Elon Musk. It's not worth going back. It's not worth going back. Well, I don't know. It's debatable, isn't it? Let's hope we can. We all need a bit of excitement. I think what it is, you see, we were all optimistic at the time, thinking this is the start of something wonderful. When man lands on the moon and walks on the moon and rides around in a buggy, and this is the start of something truly. This is the start of space exploration and all of a sudden people going into space and everything, and it just never happened. It has ultimately been a disappointment. That's the truth of the matter. Let's see. Lee Clark, they did not go. Buzz, what's that? Buzz Aldrin, did he? I didn't hear him admit that. Pinball. I've never understood if they landed why it was never followed up and set up bases there. For those reasons that the absolute colossal expense of all of this. I don't think they really fathomed, the projected the colossal expense of all of this. It probably, to actually set up a moon base, it's probably the technology all exists. I'm sure it all exists. It's just that it cost a vast amount of money, and is it worth it? Would you want to go on holiday in the moon? Really? That's sure I would. I get bored, really. I'd go there. But someone said it, knocked me down. Said, "Listen, Eddie, tomorrow we've done a raffle, and you've won a top prize. You're going to be on that spaceship going to the moon." I'd go tomorrow. I'd go tomorrow. I'd even leave my beer behind. I'd even leave my fridge full of beer behind. I'd go tomorrow. No question about it. But is it really worth it? Does it progress mankind that much? And of course, there's the other tragic. When the space shuttle came along years later, when that was wonderful, wasn't it? You look at when I say the other stuff was all primitive. They went up with these bloody big rockets and then they dropped this bit of equipment there and that bit of equipment there, and whereas the space shuttle, wonderful stuff. But then there was those two disasters. I think those two disasters, 86 and a later one, which I think they set things back a lot, didn't they? And even this new thing, this Artemis, they're ready for it to take off today, and it's had a leak, hasn't it? A fuel leak or whatever it is. Who's this? Get it to your body. Why has there not been a recent moon landing? For all the reasons we just said, really. Capo, the movie Capricorn 1 addressed this situation. Capricorn 1 was a great movie, but it was a work of fiction. That's it. What's it? Apollo 12. Sorry, yeah. Was that the one where they had the buggy? Was it? Okay, Nick Ross. All they ever wanted was to mine minerals in space. David Cook. I thought something was a good with a camel. I thought something wasn't good with a camel walked past. Okay, okay, well, absolutely. Wasn't there a scene? There's a scene somewhere in Lawrence of Arabia, isn't it? Which is set like during the First World War. A scene and in the background in one of the scenes you can see a bloody big jet going past in the sky. Mark Hollett, they still sent a laser beam to the moon. It reflects back from the Apollo 11 from the lunar reflector still on the surface, used to measure the exact moon distance from the Earth. Absolutely, absolutely, it's wonderful. It's fascinating stuff and all that. But science fiction dream really goes a bit beyond the moon. I mean, going to the moon, it really goes a bit beyond. I'll be watching when this spaceship takes off, this rocket takes off, and I can't wait. And I will love to see it. But you would have thought after 50 odd years, greater things would have really, really happened. Scaffolder John, more conspiracy theories. Scientists can no longer be trusted. They are funded and told what to say. Okay. Let's see. Terry Jones, fake. They never had the technology. Mid 60 technology wouldn't get you to land on the moon. That clockwork machine was a joke. Didn't even think they could land on the moon now. You're a child opinion. I mean, when I say primitive, I mean you only have to look at this thing to see what I mean by primitive. Jesus Christ. Mark Ollick, they found Alice on the moon. You need to be older to understand this. Is Alice who was living next door? 25 years I've been living next door to Alice. I don't understand that one. Paul Hoskins, yeah, he's singing my song. Build a base on the moon when we can go on holiday, but only if there are beer bars and go-go's. Yeah, absolutely. Pinball. Now, this is another conspiracy. I've heard this before. There was a rumor that they got Stanley Kubrick to direct the footage at the moon landings. Okay, I've heard that before. I have heard that. Who's this, Tad? What about the rocket man launched homemade rocket trying to reach space? They say craft explode when the dome well, it was a homemade rocket. I wouldn't expect that would get very far. Red wine, yes, that's bloody good value. I think the moon landing is fake. It was 6 moon landings, not one, 6 of them. I think the moon landing is fake. Lots of evidence to support my theory, including various scientific formulas. You've been motting out many people in Dartmouth, Ed. Okay, whatever. Let me see. Martin Bertel. There is a secret space aircraft called the TR, which is a secret US Air Force aircraft, which is on YouTube, that is in space and on the Earth, and it's many YouTube videos. Okay, thank you. Simon Eyes 41. Don't people realize that the Russians and the Chinese would have exposed the Americans if the moon landings were fake? They'd have taken great joy in that. Both countries monitored the mist. And yet, this is another thing. It comes back to, to other conspiracy theories. The fact is there was massive amounts of people involved in these moon landings, ground control, massive peoples. You would have thought after 50 years, half a century, somebody would have come out and blown the whistle. They would have done. I mean, a conspiracy theory like that requires an awful lot of people to keep their mouths shut. I just don't think it's possible to keep that many people to keep their mouths shut. Terry Jones, Armstrong often hinted that it never happened. His last speech says it all. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Pele. Why no stars to be seen? Well, that was it, wasn't it? Because they said, how come you can't see the stars in the sky in the background? But it's because of the camera exposure, wasn't it? I mean, they was putting the light on the there were various cameras used, but he was putting his light on, his fellow astronaut, really. So it kind of blew the stars out. Mark Ollig, everyone loves a good conspiracy. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's probably a conspiracy that I'm not really. There's probably a conspiracy that I'm not really drinking Coors. I'm probably drinking Kronenberg or Carlsberg. Someone's probably making the conspiracy about that. Ed Ventures around the world. Buzz confirmed they saw alien ships while they were up there. Really, I don't recall hearing that. Ion Tilt, latest moon mission costed $92 billion. Yet latest unmanned with all the latest technologies. See, the thing is, this is the reason, isn't it? This is the reason that all the things that we expected from the science fiction age, the scientific age. This is the thing that I don't think they really counted on. The astonishing cost of it all. $92 billion. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Yes, so because there is absolutely, that's probably one of the reasons, yeah. Mark Allen, we were supposed to have Apollo 18, 19, and 20 moon landings. Yes, 17 was the last one, wasn't it? Moon land, but the budget was cut off. To say, yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's it. They just didn't have the. It's a question. The answer is somewhere between we can't afford all of this, and is it worth it? The answer is somewhere between there. Okay, so I've waffled on for nearly 1.5 hours now. Adventures around the world. The conspiracy around the moon are fascinating. I love the one where they fired a small nuke at the moon. When it hit the moon, rang a bell. It was. I don't recall that. Mark Ollig. Oh, yeah, these are good comments. Well done, Mark. We beat the Russians to the moon. That also ended it. Yeah, that's good. That's good because the rivalry between the Russians. The Americans got there first, so that's it. They'd already got the Americans got their gold medal. And Russia hadn't, even entered there. Russia hadn't got any medal at all. They never made it there. So, yeah, we beat the Russians to the moon. That also ended it. Very, very good comment, Mark. Absolutely. Okay. Nick Ross. Pampers super absorbent nappies came from the space race. Okay. That's worthwhile then. There you go. Boo-hoo. USA didn't go back because there was no oil. Okay. McLaren F1 race. There's a great story about the first buggy on the moon on Donut Media, Pascas. Very entertaining car channel. Okay, that sounds interesting. Didn't they blow something on that? Where a part of that buggy came off, so they had to be careful, and there was all kind of dust spraying them as they were they were driving it. Mark Hughes, they didn't pretend to go back because the fakery, the whole thing became too expensive. Okay. Mark Allen, US will go to the moon's south side for the water ice to power the moon bases and for use for this trip to Mars and the moon. Absolutely. But, the sad thing is, I mean, very few of us will ever live to actually see all of this. I mean, I still remember, I was only 7 years old when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon. It was, I mean, such a wonderful, monumental thing, but that was 53 years ago. And we thought all of this stuff, it's got to come down to the fact that the 21st century, in terms of its science and its advancement, is ultimately been a disappointment because we expected all these wonderful things from it. And it hasn't really happened. It hasn't happened. I mean, where's my flying car? I haven't got one. Martin Birchall, men landed on the moon, and there's also a secret space program which has a TR-3B, which is part of a secret space program. That's soon. Next 3 to 5 years. The truth will out, okay? Thailand bound actress Nichelle Nichols, who made history with her portrayal of I can't even pronounce that name on Star Trek, the original series, died Saturday, July the 30th, at the age of 89. Okay, God bless her. God bless her. God bless her. Let's see. Yourselves, there's nothing out there. Keep thinking there is in your tinfoil hats, okay? Paul Hoskins, 6 billion years ago, there was no life on Earth. So where did all the animals come from? Good question, mate. Good question. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to finish this now anyway. It's an hour. It's just over 1.5 hours. Okay. The smutty talk's coming out now. Popcorn. If they put a go-go and soapy and dirty massage on the moon, it'll be worth it. Probably cheaper than the current flights to Thailand too. Okay, yeah, good comment. I'd go to the moon tomorrow just to say that, just to say it was there, but it's never going to happen. Let me see. Okay, I'll just skip through all of this. Let me see. Okay, so sorry that I'm really, really, really behind. Yours travels. We might have beat the Russians to the moon, but the USA, UK, Europe are still. Whatever. That's a matter of debate. That is. Mark Ollig, the first human-made object to reach the moon was the Soviet Union's Luna 2 in 1959. I'm shocked to hear that. I didn't know that. Yuri Gagarin died at 34. Is there somebody mentioned that? Was that true? That's dreadful. That is absolutely dreadful. Mark Ollig, I well remember the Apollo 11 landing, but won't see the Mars landing, probably. I'd love to see the Mars land, but, will it ever happen in our lifetime? Doubt it. I really doubt it. Paul Hoskin, Wallace and Gromit went to the moon. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Lord of Dreams, aliens, a real moon landing was fake. Okay. What else can you say to that other than Nanu? Okay. Martin Birchall, the war between Russia and no, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not talking about that, mate. Popcorn, if we colonized the moon, there was still someone waiting to sell you a suit. Okay. Listen. Let's see. Who's this? Teddy Jones. Ed, watch Bart Sibble's YouTube documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Okay. Okay, pinball. This has been a good debate, Ed. It's good to hear both sides of the chat. Okay, so the bots have been the bots have been in here now. So we've covered 2 questions tonight. One of them is a very, very dark subject. The other is an exciting subject. We've had a little chat. We've been on for an hour and 35 minutes tonight. So I'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock with more big questions. I really, 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 really do appreciate you guys coming along and getting involved in all of this. I keep saying it. I'll say it again. 10 o'clock Monday and Tuesday nights. What the hell else is going along? We may as well come here and have a chat and have a debate and have a bit of fun. Okay? Listen, guys. Thanks for coming along tonight. Really, really do appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.